Welcome back to Dynamic Character Productions for our third exit interview of the season of DCP All Stars Rites of Passage. As always, I am joined by my co-host Ian Moorhead, as well as our queen of the exits. It's Lilly. Lilly, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm ready to crack into it.
And of course, we can't do an exit without the player themselves, the legend, the OG, the old schooler. It's Corey Conway. Corey, how you doing?
I'm doing really well. How's everybody? How's everybody this afternoon? Beautiful day out.
Good.
Beautiful day, and based off the questions, it might be a beautiful day for some baseball.
Hell yeah! Ian's sporting his Pirates shirt. I love it.
I was at the game last night. I'll be at the game tonight. So
there you go. We've been to a couple of games together. It's always a good time down at PNC Park, huh?
Hell yeah.
I'm not officially a Pirates fan, but I mean, I root for the Pirates. I will always say that. It's like I'm happy when they do well. It's my hometown, but
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But with that, Lilly, let's get cracking.
Yeah, so for the first question, just talk about how you got ready for the game. Was there anything that you were focused on before, or did life just take hold and you went in blind and just hit the ground?
I did. So basically, I was not going to, I wasn't going to apply. I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'm ready to play another game again. It's been a couple of years. And then Ian reached out to me and he was like, have you applied? So I was like, you know what? If they want me to apply, I will apply. And I did. And I'm so happy that I did. Just to get back into the arena. I went in, pretty much blind. I didn't research the other seasons too much because I almost didn't want to overthink going in about, what did this player do in this season, this and that. I've never been one of those people that puts people's names up on a board and it's like, okay, this person did this, and no, not in Survivor. It's like, you sort of just go with the flow. Unfortunately, that was not maybe the best strategy for this season, but
I do think, though, going in without a lot of, like you said, research might have helped you, because when we first saw you in one of our games, it was a mini, so very fast paced. There wasn't a lot of like downtime to kind of spin up, or get paranoid. We see a lot of this happen with minis, not necessarily you, but people that switch from the formats. How do you think All Stars starting out in a long format affected your game and how you wanted to play?
Okay. Believe it or not, despite how crazy and erratic my gameplay turned out to be in this game, I actually prefer the long game format. There's some people who have played games with me in the past who've seen what I can do in a long game format in terms of allowing seeds, putting seeds out there and allowing them to grow over a long period of time, and how effective I can be at it. So I actually prefer the long game format. Minis are where I sort of struggle. So it was actually very interesting to find myself struggling a lot to get a foothold in this format, in this style of game.
Is there anything that you peg, I guess, for that reasoning of not getting a footing? Is it maybe, the seasons that was mixed in your tribe, or anything?
I will be honest. I saw on day one, when I saw that Jeremy Urban was on my tribe, I was like, oh, this is bad. This is bad. And it's not necessarily because of the fact that I said in a confessional very early on that I thought I needed to get Jeremy out ASAP. That's not because that I would never work with him. It's that I just felt that Jeremy was less likely to work with me. And that I turned out to be correct on that. Because Jeremy was saying day one that he wasn't going to work with me either. So that right there, we both are eyeing each other going, yeah, this is bad news. Bad news bears for us both. So that, and then I'm trying to think. So we had Lex and Sarah, obviously, from the Trinity Falls season. in terms of starting right out of the gate, the only thing that worried me was that Jeremy was on my tribe, but that's just one person. You know, Austin was from Yasawa Islands. I didn't really have much of an issue in terms of wanting to, like, I felt that I could have worked with Austin, but then Jeremy won individual immunity at the first challenge. And that's when I was like, okay, what do I do? And it was on the morning of day 2. The first night, we all just kind of spent some time getting to know each other, and I spent a lot of time talking with the other people who I'd never met before, like Ashley and Lex and Shea and Sarah, Zucker. And the morning of day 2, I'm told by Kylie that people were already worried about how social you're being, that you've had talks with everyone on the tribe that were long talks, that you stayed up longer than most other people. And they're also saying that they're worried that you, Austin, and Jeremy could be a threesome from Yasawa Islands, and that you need to go around and actually, like, basically do a tour across the whole tribe and assure everyone that you're not going to work with those two. So that's when I kind of realized, I'm like, yeah, this isn't good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
go ahead.
Does that also, with that understanding of there's rumors out there of like season groupings, is that what further pushes that narrative that we see from your confessionals more so than others in the first episode of creating that, like, that super majority within your tribe, and it's everyone except for the other 2 Yasawa people?
Yes, because just from conversations with other people without pushing much, I was realizing fairly early on that people were saying that they weren't in as much contact with as others in terms of through messaging with Jeremy and Austin. And so right away, I realized that Jeremy and Austin are sort of more on the outs than anyone else on the tribe. And I don't want to be linked with those two in terms of, if that's going to be a sinking ship, I don't want to be on it. And so, yes. And then that is when I started to tell people, I was like, look, I'm not working with these two. And I can assure you that they are going to be together. So I did start to sort of try and push the narrative onto those two as the outside and try to get a group of 7 together.
We also see you being pegged as a strategic player pretty early on. I think in this time frame, we see maybe 2 confessionals. I think one is from Shea. I think maybe the other is from Lex, saying, Corey, on top of being social, like you said, Kylie was telling you, is extremely smart and extremely strategic. Were you aware that people were also kind of putting this label on you as well?
I was made aware. Yes, it was almost as if every time that I received some kind of information within the game and I tried to figure out a path to go in terms of trying to see what I can do about this bit of information I've gotten, I get told that you need to go around and tell Jeremy and Austin, or tell others that you're not with Jeremy and Austin. I start to do that. I start to sort of push, well, maybe we could have a large majority of people come together for a consensus vote. That right there was one of the things that people started to say, Corey is really being actively strategic in terms of trying to put together this large, and I was told about that. And I'm like, geez, no matter what I do, it's backfiring somehow, where I'm trying to really push that I'm not with Jeremy and Austin. And that in and of itself is causing people to say Corey's being more forward in terms of the strategy talk, which I guess is sort of true. If I'm trying to counteract something that's happening in the game, that can backfire.
I'm gonna jump ahead slightly here, and sort of I think like what we see in the episode, and from what we experience as prod, your round that you go home, you are sort of erratic, way more erratic than normal. It seems like a crazy sort of decision, like you basically put yourself out there to be voted out. You weren't going to go home and then you try to do something and you went home. However, listening to this, you know, in a fast-paced game like this one, even though it's every night, the pace that everyone was playing was pretty insane for the first 5 days of the game. And if you're being told all the time, you know, got to do this to make sure you're not on the outs, got to do this to make sure you're not on the outs, that means you're not on the outs of the tribe, but you're on the outs of the alliance or group or whatever.
Majority.
Yeah.
And for me, I realized I was like, okay, at a certain point, because you're fast forwarding a little bit, I'm thinking once we inherited Austin Garsow, I realized at that point that even if Jeremy goes next, I'm going ahead of Garsow if we go to tribal council again. And I'm not just going to sit around and allow a number. Jeremy could be a number that could help me. So my strategy at that point was I can put myself, I can sit back and allow Jeremy to go home, or I could play the high risk, high reward game and try to, yes, knowingly basically putting myself out there to get voted out if the information leaks to everyone else in the majority. And basically put myself to go. I could either go ahead of Jeremy or go after Jeremy if we were to go to tribal again. And my attitude about it was, if it works, then I don't go home maybe at all.
Right.
And neither does Jeremy.
Yeah, the difference of 15th and 16th place is nothing. So who cares? I mean, I wouldn't have done what you did, but I totally understood why you made the effort you did. I think, you know, obviously the viewers can only see what's in the edit, but I think based on the edit and how much footage we had and all that stuff, like it may look worse than it actually was.
Well, I mean, there was things that I did, and you guys as prod would know about this, that didn't even make it into the episode. And so to explain one of the things that happened in my exit after I got voted out, and I was telling some people about Kylie in my exit, and that might have sort of come out of left field for some of the viewers, like, whoa, what did Kylie do wrong to him? One of the things that happened on that last day was I was trying to still get this 4-person group together. And Kylie comes to me and basically says she doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want to rock the boat too much this early. She's not obviously letting me know I'm going home. But she's like, I'm not going to do it, Corey. I can't do this. And so I started to really put a lot of blame on Kylie as like, this could have been a great move if Austin and Jeremy are on board and not leaking information, and they are on board to do this. Kylie's the 4th person that I need to do this. And if she is absolutely 0% in on it, now I've got to backtrack and try to do damage control with Jeremy and Austin. And so what I did was I basically, like an hour before tribal, I told each of them separately that I couldn't get a 4th number to do this plan and that the other one is going home. I told Jeremy Garsaw's going home. I told Garsow that Jeremy's going home, so that hopefully if I made it through the tribal council, at least whichever one was still in the game wouldn't be too pissed off. You know? So there was a lot of things that I did that were unnecessary because of what I knew was happening, but also what I didn't know was happening.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's almost as if having the information that I did, like having somebody funnel information to me, actually ended up hurting me in a lot of ways because it scared me into action.
Yeah. Do you think if you had gone to tribal maybe one time earlier or two, and there wasn't as much time to like permeate the I'm being a big target, I'm going next, do you think it would have played out differently?
I don't think so, because because a lot of the things that I started talking to Jeremy and Garsow about forming this 4-person possible group days in advance, even when we weren't going to tribal. Ian knows this. I play the game in a long game format. I play the game like I'm going to tribal almost every day. I don't ever just take a day off and go, hey, I don't have to go to tribal tonight. I'm just not going to do anything today. I don't do that.
That makes
This
sense.
and this brings up another point because, a big portion of everything that happens is because of the first round tribe switch between the votes of the Austins. I know there was some sentiment where like you realize that you could be the other name that's being thrown around that isn't from the people on the outside of that super majority. And if something were to have gone a different way, something goes screwy, people change their minds, and you go out and you have that switch, do you think that benefits your game now in hindsight of you leave this tribe situation and you get this whole new cast of people that try to like reset your game?
Ooh, I have no idea because I don't know whether I would have played with Karen or not. Karen is the only person I knew from the other tribe. I know Karen very well outside of the game. Hell, I went to her wedding. So I know Karen very well, and I'm not sure whether I would have played with Karen or not. And so the thing with me is that I'm very good at being able to play with men and women. And so being able to play with guys that are a little bit like into sports and things like that could have maybe been kind of cool. It would have been a cool experience to be able to connect with them on, because there was a little bit less of like, oh, okay. For me, I found myself actually learning more about people on my tribe
Mm-hmm.
in terms of things that I'm not very familiar with, in life. People that the kind of people that I would not, come across as much in my real day-to-day life. I found myself asking questions and really getting to learn more about humans as a whole, outside of my daily structured life, which was a really, really, really cool experience for the tribe that I was on. So that, I think, I take the most out of the game is that I got to meet people that I would never get to meet in my daily life on the tribe that I was on. Whereas playing on the other tribe, playing with, guys like, Danny and Mike Reick and Mike Simmons and stuff, it's like, yeah, I could meet guys and, talk sports with people anywhere, I think it could have been, I have no clue if I would have been on the other tribe, how good or bad that could have been for me. The one thing I will say is I would have been away from Jeremy Urban for a little bit. I love you, Jeremy. I love you, dude. I know Jeremy in real life. I've met him in person to person. He's a great guy, but we just don't. I don't know. We're like oil and water in these games.
It happens. It happens.
The other thing is Jeremy said in his vote confessional, he was like, this is revenge for Ian and Jeremy, or Ian and Morgan in another game that we played. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, Jeremy, you blindsided me in that game. How many times do you get revenge for the same thing? and he got me rocked out in Yasau Island. So this is the third time now. I'm like, how many times does revenge count? Or when does revenge, when do you I don't know. It was just hilarious.
It never ends. That's
I know.
it.
I know. It's like what's that movie? Groundhog Day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the one person we haven't talked about on your tribe that as a viewer we didn't get to see a lot of your interactions with is Sarah. We see when the big majority is coming together, she's like, well, I don't want to vote out Jeremy. I'd rather vote out Corey. And she kind of says this again when it's either Jeremy or Garsow. She's like, well, I don't want either of them. Like, I want to work with Jeremy. So how was that relationship, and were you catching on to her saying these things?
So no, Sarah was someone that in the first day or two, she and I really connected a lot over. So I'm an actor and a writer, and this is one of the things that I was not telling people. It's Kylie knows, Jeremy knows, but I'm not going around advertising that I'm an actor to people.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm, very much in the art industry, and so is Sarah through, her photography, and we had some incredible conversations about that sort of stuff and bonding. But then I don't know how that happened. I never looked to create a 6 within the 7 that excluded Sarah, but there's a confessional in the first episode, or there's a strategical call between Lex and Sarah where he's telling her that I pitched having 6 people that did not include her. And she's like, well, I obviously don't like that.
Yeah.
So there was definitely some embellishing of things that were going on, where people were definitely taking some of the things that I was trying to put out there in terms of a 7. And then the way I like to play is that I like to get a large group of people together, and then naturally alliances, smaller alliances, groups of 3, 4, are going to form within that 7. And the way I like to try and play is that I like to sort of try and figure out a way to get into multiple alliances within the majority group, and then be able to play them against each other later if need be, and pick a side and go with it. And so that was sort of where I started to maybe go with this, is that if I can get a group of 7 together. And so I thought that there was the potential at one point to maybe have a 4-person alliance with Shea, Zucker, and Kylie. And I did pitch that to Shea at one point and Zucker, and because they both felt good with each other and they both felt good with Kylie. And I was, we thought maybe this was something that was going to happen. I quickly realized that it wasn't going to happen. Shea and Zucker were not. And so I think either it got back to Lex somehow, and then he was using certain things to embellishing things, to make other people say, "Oh, I don't want to work with Corey either." It's brilliant gameplay on Lex's part.
Lex embellishing things? No way.
Exactly. What I found to be the case in my conversations with people since the game ended was, I was playing with a lot of people on this tribe that they wanted to do 2 things. One, they always wanted to have a big shield ahead in front of them, and Lex became a perfect shield in a lot of people's eyes. So no matter what I tried to do, if it was not with Lex in some way, shape, or form, people weren't going to go along with it. Like Shea openly admits in his confessionals, he's like, Lex is a perfect shield. I think Ashley probably looked at him as a shield. Sarah, I know, has said to me that she looked at Lex as a shield. So, and then the other thing was, I was playing with people that were, with Garsow and Jeremy, 2 people that I looked at as 2 people on the bottom that I could go into a big move with them, but they looked at it as, I can buy myself another day if I throw Corey under the bus.
Yeah.
And like Ian said, I don't play the game to buy myself just one more day. If I'm going to go out a day earlier than I probably should have for trying to do something, I'll do it. I'll take that route. I just don't play the style of, if I just buy myself one more day. So it's, it's just a lot of different ways to play the game. And, it was just, it just didn't work out this time.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because I feel like a lot of people especially this season, not that they normally play this way, but I think even Andrew said he's been playing that way, just trying to get to the next vote. And do you think that the all-stars of it all is playing into how people are attacking this game? They don't want to make big moves because they're just trying to get to the next vote because it's all-stars and, they want to do it differently. Do you think that kind of affected how people were playing?
Well, there's 2 things that go, I think, hand in hand with trying to just make it to the next day. And that is, one, the game can change day to day constantly. So there are people that, like if you want to do it like sort of voting blocks instead of alliances, you just make it to the next day and a new voting block will get together with a new voting block, and it's constant chaos.
Yeah.
And then you've got the other side of it, the opposite effect, which is, not wanting to make big moves and staying a little bit in this, out of the spotlight and just making it to another day. I don't fall into either of those categories. I sort of play a little bit more along the lines of, a little more of an old school, trying to get an alliance together and having people that you can trust. like not just for this next vote, but I can trust him or her until we get to like final 6 or final 7 perhaps, where I could see them trying to turn on me then. But if we can play the long haul together, that's typically the way I like to play, is find 2 or 3 allies that I know I can play with for many rounds, and we will be together.
Yeah. Unlike what's being said in some current episodes of Survivor, the era of alliances are still very much alive.
I know. It's never going to end.
Can we not talk about current Survivor? That shit's terrible.
Here, we'll talk about Kane, Ian.
Oh,
no,
wow.
but it makes sense, like, to have those people, and I just think. And I think you did have your person on this tribe. If it was able to go a certain way, I think Kylie would not have been as inclined to take you out if she wasn't then hearing from everybody else, like, yeah, we need to take out Corey. Because then for her own game, it's like, how much can I really stick my neck out at this point? Because you call out, I don't think it made the episode, but you do call out, like, Kylie definitely has other things cooking. And does that mean she can't go that extra step anymore that I would need in an ally?
So for that last day, I was definitely completely unaware of what was going on for the final day. However, I was able to figure out that something is going on. I didn't know that Kylie Kylie was telling me she's not going to go forward with this Jeremy and Austin Garsow alliance because it's too early to make a big splashy move like that. People who make big moves like this too early, it's just not good. That was what she was telling me. I'm not doing it for you. I'm not doing this. So in reality, she's doing this to try and keep me thinking that we're aligned with each other, so that I don't blow up her game any further.
Right.
So that she can vote me out. I go out quietly without blowing up anything at Tribal Council, and her game is preserved. But me, I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking, if Kylie doesn't want to do this move, that must mean she's got something else going on this tribe that she's not telling me about. She has to, have an alliance of some kind, maybe with Shea or with Sarah or something, that she just hasn't been she's been honest with me 95%. And what is that 5% she's not being honest with me about? What I didn't know was that 5% was she knows I'm going home that day.
Yeah, and I think we see her talk about, in Monte Carlo, she had her number 1 and she stuck her neck out for him, who was Mike on the other tribe, and she didn't want to do that again. And unfortunately, you were the person that would have taken, benefited from her kind of trying to keep you in the game. So it's interesting to see how people's games are changing based on the last one that they played, for sure.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It is. It really is. Because for me, it's like I only change based off of the people I'm playing with, not necessarily change because it's like, oh, I can't do what I did the last time. If I'm playing with a group of people, if I had a strategy that was unsuccessful the first time, and I come back for another season and I'm playing with a group of people where I look at it and go, I could try that strategy again, I'll do that same strategy even if it wasn't successful the first time. It all depends on the group of people you're playing with.
Yeah, I agree. Well, you answered all my questions. I don't know if either of these gentlemen have questions.
I have one little theory out there I pitched to production at the time of your boot. That I would just want to have a little bit of your insight in, and then after that we can go right into the Facebook questions, because then after that I know Ian has a couple questions to round us out. Obviously, knowing how people were behaving, it wouldn't have worked. But what if, because you already were allowing yourself to be in danger, essentially, for the vote. Like, oh, they could have a split on me, it's fine. With 9 people voting, what if you were able to get Jeremy and Austin in a room and you pitch to them, okay, I did not push against this split. It's going to be a 5-4 split on Austin and Jeremy. with that in mind of you two voting for each other. If you two vote with me and we vote like just some other person, we can cause a 3-3-3 tie, automatically go to rocks. It saves both of you. I'm putting myself at risk by being on that wheel, but it's like it's you physically putting your game on the line to show them how much you're willing to protect them in this game. Like, do you think that's a possible avenue you could have done?
So what you're saying is that Jeremy and I, let's just say for the theoretical side of it, Jeremy and I are the two that the vote is happening, that the split is happening on. Jeremy and I know that we're expected by the rest of the tribe to vote against each other, but we don't. And so then it depends, because it depends on where the other people are expecting Garsow to put his vote on.
Right.
So basically, essentially, what you have to have is you need to have Jeremy and Austin. You need to have those two people both expected from the rest of the tribe to put their votes on me.
Right.
So if it's not, if Austin is expected by the rest of the tribe to put his vote on Jeremy, then it doesn't work, because then we would only have, it would still be 4 votes going to one of us.
Mm-hmm.
So you would need to have Austin and Jeremy both voting together, expected from the rest of the tribe, from Lex and Shea and everyone else, that Austin and Jeremy are going to be 2 votes that are part of the same group in the split. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to, and they have to be a part of that majority.
Yeah.
They have to be a part of that 5, so that takes 3 votes away from the 5, and my vote takes away from the 4, and then it is 3-3, and then our 3 becomes a 3. Yeah, I mean, that would have been really hard to pull off, because Austin and Jeremy threw me under the bus.
Yeah.
Days ahead of time, like before my vote happened, I was already pitching this plan. This was like 3 days of work that I was putting into the game. It doesn't get shown in the episodes because we're not the tribe going to tribal council.
Right.
So while the other tribe is going to tribal councils, I'm already putting this plan into motion, talking to Jeremy and Austin, and working with Kylie to try and see what we can do. And Jeremy and Austin threw me under the bus very early on in that process. So
it was just something. Yeah, it was just something fun to think about, because it's something I've been thinking about since it happened.
Absolutely,
so I thought it would have been a ride.
You're absolutely right. If we could have made that work, considering the fact that there's no revotes, that you go straight to the wheel in this season, absolutely, that would have been a strategy on the table.
But with that, we're now going to get into some of these Facebook questions. I'll read them as I see them. So, okay. First one is from Kylie. Corey, my side bitch forever.
Yep.
Which new era Survivor player would you most like to play like?
Which Survivor player from the new school era?
Yeah.
That's what she asked. The new school era. I would love to play like Wendell, because Wendell was able to find that dude that he absolutely was playing for the long haul with Dominic, but is also somebody that he knows is going to have just as much attention on him, if not more so, than I will. Everybody always knew Dominic and Wendell were together. It's not, oh, Wendell is the one leading this pair. It's like, no, they are equal threats to the rest of us. So I would love to play a game like Wendell, where you find that dude and everybody knows, damn, like, you go after one, you have to go after the other. Because then that keeps loyalty. That keeps loyalty when you know that you're both threats, and, you either turn on each other early, and then it's the end of your game after he goes home. It's like, oh, well, I'm not too long after. It's like, no, you have to work together.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice, honestly. So going into the next question is from Michael Zucker. Corey, sorry we couldn't play the game together for longer than we did, and for playing a part and you being voted out. But I didn't actually write your name down, so there's that.
I didn't.
Anyway, unrelated question to the game. Who's your favorite baseball player of all time, and why? Loved getting to talk baseball with you during the game, and let's go Mets.
Oh yes, Zucker. He's my Mets brother, man. All right. baseball player, my all-time. So what do you say in the question again? What's my all-time favorite?
Who's your favorite baseball
Okay.
player of all time and why?
All right, so I don't think he's the greatest player of all time, but my favorite player, got to go with Stan the Man Musial. Stan the Man, St. Louis Cardinals in the 40s and 50s. I never saw him play, obviously, but I've gone back and watched a lot of his highlights and read books. Stan Musial had 3,630 hits in his career. 1,815 hits at home, 1,815 hits on the road. He didn't care where he was. He just hit. And yeah, just the consistency of his career. And he's also one of the best fielding left fielders of all time, probably.
I mean, as a Cardinal fan, I love that answer. So thank you for that. You're right. I was not expecting that to be your answer.
I love consistency. In an era of baseball where there is just so much inconsistency, where one guy could hit 300 one year and then he hits 250 the next, I like to look back at the players of old, and go, that guy was consistent every single year.
Love it. Next question is from Carrie. Corey, if you had to choose between baseball being the only sport and football being the only sport, which would you choose?
So if I had to eliminate a sport, and baseball or football no longer exists, I gotta eliminate football. Eliminate football.
Agreed.
Even though the Steelers are my favorite sports team ever. If you live in Pittsburgh, and you're not a Steelers fan, diehard, then you better just leave town. The Steelers are my favorite sports team, but yeah, I gotta go with baseball. That's the game I want to stick around forever.
You have two guys up here in on this podcast that would agree with you.
Hell yeah. I love it. I mean, Michael Zucker and I, bonding over baseball, and based off of his response, because I think he commented and said there's only one right answer to this question.
Yeah.
And then seeing you guys say the same thing, I love it. It's like baseball. Hell yeah. I know. I didn't know that as much about you, Alex. I love hearing that. I knew about that about Ian because I've been to.
Oh well, if you look behind me, the picture I've had in my room is Willie Mays.
That is the guy when you said earlier who's your favorite, and I had to differentiate between who's the greatest player ever. Probably Willie Mays.
That's a great answer. Oh.
Or Ken Griffey Jr.
So there's just so many great players, and I'm sure some of these questions are going to highlight that even more. The next question is from Lydia. Corey, wish our paths had crossed in the game, but alas, I know very little about sports. Do you have any favorite fun or random sport facts?
Other than the Stan Musial, even.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say I have another fact about Stan Musial that I could say. Which is that Stan Musial retired with 3,630 hits. He was the National League's all-time leader in hits when he retired. Second all-time at that point to Ty Cobb. His last hit of his career went past a rookie second baseman playing for the Cincinnati Reds named Pete Rose, who would eventually go on to pass him and pass Ty Cobb on the all-time hit list. So there's a little factoid. But the other thing is, Nolan Ryan, his unbreakable strikeouts record, 5,714 strikeouts. It's never going to get broken, ever. It's easy to remember how many strikeouts he has, because if you know how many home runs Babe Ruth had, 714, then you know that, you'll always be able to remember that Nolan Ryan had 5,714 strikeouts.
Oh,
little cool facts like that. It's weird. I'm weird.
I mean, we're all here. We're all weird.
Yeah. Everyone in this community is weird.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. It's why it's wonderful.
Yeah. The next question is from McKenna Inglis. What's your favorite restaurant in Pittsburgh?
I gotta go with Burgatory.
Oh, that's a good
Burgatory's
one.
awesome. Their burgers are just incredible, and you make them. Everything from the bun to what you want, every single ingredient you want on the burger. It's all what you want.
And these other two, not on my screen, they're here and here. The not from Pittsburgh, but they've both been there. They've both gone with me when they've
that's right. I know you're a Burgatory guy too, and every
Yep.
time people come through town, you've always taken them there.
Yeah.
That's right. It's amazing. Burgatory's awesome.
Yeah, I love Burgatory. I will definitely want to go back again when I go back to Pittsburgh. Okay. Next question is from Andrew Denson. And it looks like it's 3 specific movies, so I'm not going to add A League of Their Own, even though Carrie mentions it. What is your favorite baseball movie between Moneyball, Major League, and the Billy Bob Thornton Bad News Bears?
All right, so I don't know if this, will make other baseball fans upset at me or not, but I've never seen Major League, and I've never seen Bad News Bears. But so Moneyball is my default answer for out of those 3. But my favorite baseball movie ever is For Love of the Game with Kevin Costner.
No, that's a good one.
I highly recommend Major League.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's a great movie.
Is laugh out loud.
I hear.
Funny. But if I had to pick, I mentioned in the comments, of course, being a movie guy and a baseball guy. Both are on my top 100, Moneyball and A League of Their Own. So
Moneyball's great.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, let's see where we are. Greg Langstine asks, which Moorhead did you enjoy voting out more? Austin this game or Ian in the game Jeremy referenced in his voting confessional?
Yes, I'm so happy you brought this up because Ian actually commented on that post, and Ian is absolutely right. I didn't vote Ian out of the game in a game that we played together. However, someone else just did it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. You just didn't write my name down.
Well, of course, because that wasn't the plan to have you go home that night. Someone else played their idol. The real targets, actually, we split our votes that night. So I was in a big, large majority group with Ian together. My plan was always to turn on Ian and Morgan at one point or another. And, Jeremy was the first one to sniff out my plan. He was the only one in the game who knew for sure that I was like, he's like, Corey's a bold-faced liar. But so we split our votes on 2 targets, and then they both played idols. And then through the maneuvering that I had done in the game, with a few other players, we were able to make sure that the people that were outside of the group, they put their votes on Ian. So unfortunately, Ian ended up going home because the rest of our majority group, our votes were all knocked out, and then the 2 other people voted Ian.
Yep.
So.
But who'd you enjoy? So I guess reword the question then, sort of.
I have to say, I mean, that game in particular is one of my favorite games I've ever played. The one that we played together, Ian. So I have to say that the way that things kind of went in that game, everything was really just going so smoothly for me at certain points. So every time that something happened, it was like a sweet victory in some way, shape, or form. I didn't really feel like there was anything sweet about voting out Austin in this game or anything. It was unfortunate that things happened the way that they did, where Austin had to go home. Because Jeremy was immune. If I would have really had it my way, Jeremy would have gone home and not Austin. But,
Well, that also goes away from all like our sidetrack questions, even though they were great. The last few are more related to the game. Karen asks, what would you do differently considering hindsight?
I mean, I suppose knowing the style of games that these people were playing, that I guess I would have definitely taken much more of an approach of just turn into the quietest person on the tribe, be just the most quiet and friendly and sociable person on the tribe, and just be that guy where people are like, I just want to pick up Corey's vote as a part of my group. Just pick up him as a number. And then maybe opened up my game a little bit more aggressively after the merge. So in hindsight, knowing how aggressive the rest of these people were playing, and I would have turned into the quietest person on the tribe.
I mean, you'd be competing with Jeremy currently, but that would have also been funny to see.
Yeah, it would have been. Especially, honestly, it could have probably played a little more in my favor, because if Jeremy's dumping all this bad stuff on me, and I'm not saying anything bad about him at all, then maybe it makes him look bad and not me. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay, second to last question from Facebook is from McKenna Feeney. Corey, my question to you is, how did the long break from playing games help and hurt you going into this game? So glad you decided to step back into your world with our game.
Well, first off, I do want to thank you guys for having me on. You know, I love this group of productions, so once I realized that you guys wanted me to play and at least put in the application, then I was like, you know what? I can't turn these people down. They're just too wonderful, and I love you guys. And yes, thank you, McKenna, as well, for those words. I would say that the break that I took might have impacted how aggressively that I really truly went in this game, because of the fact that I haven't played any games for years. I came in, and when I realized that I was not in the best standing on my tribe, I just went full steam ahead, which is not typical for me. So it might have impacted the fact that it was almost like, oh wow, like this isn't. Two things: one, it's not normal for me to take this long of a break, and two, it's not normal for me to be in this bad of a situation on my tribe this early. I just gotta go. So
right.
I think it definitely impacted.
Yeah.
What happened?
And then the last question, which will always be typical on Facebook, is from me, Mr. Positivity. I would love for you to think about one positive thing you took away from your all-star experience.
I have to say, being on the tribe that I was on with the people that I was with, and getting to meet so many interesting people, that is the number one takeaway that I will absolutely have from this game. I mean, the best conversation I had in this whole game, there was no strategy talk at all. I spoke for 2 hours one night with Ashley, and it was incredible. You know, just getting to understand other people more, and all walks of life. That's if you can take those sort of things away from these games, regardless of where you place or if you're a winner or not, you know, if you can take away the fact that you will meet some incredible people while doing these, then every game that you play is a victory in its own way. It really is.
I say this a lot, but I truly do love that answer. It's a big reason why I play these games and help run games, is the amount of different personalities and walks of life that you meet along the way. It's a big win of itself to meet these people and understand these people that aren't from your walk of life or aren't how you grew up, because it allows all of us to grow as individuals and as people. But with that does wrap up the Facebook questions. So I'm going to hand it off to Ian, who has his always great 2 questions.
Yep, Corey, hope you've been ready for these. They're always the same. First question is, you are going to replace, it's not even a question, you're just replacing someone from the Yasawa cast that was in All Stars with someone else from Yasawa Island. So again, not to be negative, it can be solely for strategy purposes, but
yep, I get you.
Right.
I mean, and you already hit it at the fact that it's no question. I have to say that I got to take Jeremy. I mean, even if I make Jeremy go on the other tribe and swap.
No, you got to take him out of the team.
You're literally removing someone from their position, replacing them in that position. I gotta
go with Jeremy. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Jeremy. You know I love you.
And who are you replacing with from Yasawa?
I know a couple of my friends are gonna kill me for saying this. I gotta go with Phil. I gotta go with Phil. Because Phil and I had a Final 2 deal in that game, and I absolutely would have gone through with it, and I think he knew that. And, you know, Phil is a person that you can work with if you know how to talk with him, you know, and really make him feel like he's being heard. If he feels like he's being heard and that his opinions are being taken into serious consideration and that the person's really listening to him, he will stick with you.
Yeah, I was more so interested on your answer than past answers, just because the people who made it late into your game, they basically all played. I mean, Karen, Jeremy, Austin, those are your top three, and then you had David and Phil, and then you. So yeah,
David was the second choice that I would probably have to go with, because David is a really, really cool guy, and yeah, that's interesting.
All right, and for the more thought provoking question, I need your DCP Mount Rushmore. So they don't have to be the 4 best players; they just have to be the people that you think represent DCP the best. So you're free to include yourself, but this cannot include what happens in All Stars. It has to be everything prior.
I gotcha. I would say I've got to go with. So your brother Austin in Exile Island and Yusawa Islands made it very deep into both games. I mean, he went to the final 3. I mean, he was basically the last juror in both those games.
In both. Yep.
So I mean, you got to say that that warrants being on a list of the best, because we haven't had enough seasons for people to like make it to the finals more than once.
Right.
Karen is the only person we had who's a winner.
Yep.
In this season. So, I'd have to say your brother has got to be on there. I pick 3 more people. Oh my gosh. Okay. I will admit I haven't watched every season,
and that's fine.
Start to finish.
That's totally fine.
But I'm gonna go off of the best knowledge that I have, and also I will say, having played with some people in this season without necessarily knowing how far they make it after I'm gone, I can I gotta say Lex is a pretty good player, and the way he did play, I did watch back with I did watch his season back, so maybe maybe Lex, and then I will say I know Jeremy from other games. Jeremy's a great player. He's a great player at this game. He knows what he's doing. So I gotta put Jeremy up there.
All right, down to 1.
I know. I will say this. I really liked, considering that I haven't seen every single season, the one that I have watched multiple times is Exile Island. And I gotta say, Lilly, the way that you played in that game was extremely, extremely good. I would love to see you come back for a game. If Jeremy could be on Prod and come back, maybe, you can too.
Thank you. That's very sweet. I'm honored to be on your Mount Rushmore.
That's Corey's Mount Rushmore. I love that it took some time to think about it, and
oh yeah, because like I said, I mean, the only season I've watched multiple times, I've watched it from start to finish twice, is Exile Island.
It's a good one.
Season. It's a great season.
Yeah, it is a good one.
But Lilly, this leads to you.
I'll pass it back over.
Yeah, so we like to end our exits with the same question, and that is, if you could sum up your game in 1 word, what would it be and why?
Oh,
it's a lot of pressure.
I know. What was the name? Oh, what was the name of the character in the book? What was the name of the character in the book? Was his name Ahab? against the great white whale.
Oh, for Moby Dick.
For Moby Dick, it wasn't Ahab.
I
So
don't know.
I guess I'll go. We'll go with one word, Ahab.
Yeah, I have literally no clue. So
Yeah, I don't either.
I think it's Ishmael.
Ishmael. That
Uh,
sounds right.
I don't think so.
Wait, hold on. We have
Oh wait, I guess it depends which person you're talking about on
Wait,
that boat.
Google. We have Google.
Moby Dick. Yeah, Moby Dick characters. Here we
Ahab.
go. List of Moby Dick. Okay, both of them. Ishmael is the narrator and Ahab is the captain.
Yes.
so
So
the
Okay.
captain.
I will go with Ahab.
All right.
His doomed voyage.
And Lex was your white whale.
Yes. No, probably Jeremy, actually. I'd have
Probably
to say
both of them.
Jeremy.
Jeremy was planning my demise from day one, and then he topped it off with the cherry on top at the end by saying, I know that you spent a ton of time trying to make sure I wasn't the target. I spent twice as much time making sure that you were. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Corey.
Thank you so much for having
Thank
me
you.
on.
Yeah, of course.
Having me on the season, and then just being the great production crew that you are. It's it really makes it an enjoyable experience no matter what happens to you in these games. It makes it enjoyable. The presence that you guys give to the players after they've been voted out and they come in and talk to you guys after, it's wonderful. So thank you for all that you do.
And thank you for, as always, being a part of our DCP family. And the fun doesn't end with Corey's boot. As always, new episodes are going to drop every Monday and Thursday at 8 p.m. with exits on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And of course, don't miss John David Millsip's Sunday show every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Go make sure you're on our Facebook page where you can ask questions for our exits. You'll know when all of our episodes drop. Press the subscribe button, press that like button, press that bell for all notifications. Follow us on Instagram. There's a lot of stuff here. You'll see at the end of this video. But with that, this has been Dynamic Character Productions covering DCP All-Stars, Rites of Passage, and we'll see you all next time.